The late Pope Francis's dog carried a secret no one could have imagined. When the new Pope, Leo XIV, was elected, the little four-legged hero surprised the whole world from the Vatican balcony. An ancient relic, a hidden prophecy, and 10 twists that will transform the Church forever. A story of loyalty, courage, and divine purpose that will move your heart. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and comment where you're watching from. What would you do if you had only 18 days to change the course of history? 18 days between the last breath of a holy man and the ascension of his successor. 18 days to fulfill a promise that transcends human understanding. This is no ordinary story. It's a testament to fidelity that went beyond the limits of the possible. White smoke rises above the Sistine Chapel, dispersing into the Roman sky like a divine message. Thousands of people in St. Peter's Square hold their breath, their eyes fixed on the chimney that has just announced to the world, "We have a new pope." The bells begin to toll, their ancient melody echoing through the marble corridors of the Vatican, the narrow alleys of Rome, and the heart of every faithful person. But this story doesn't start here. While the world celebrates the election of the new pontiff, there is a small creature, hidden in the shadows of the apostolic palace, whose heart beats to a different rhythm. Not of celebration, but of purpose. Not of conclusion, but of mission. A small dog with eyes that have seen more of human holiness than many cardinals carries a burden no one could imagine. His name is Buddy, a name chosen not by chance, but by destiny. April 21st, 2025. The room is lit only by a single candle, its flame dancing gently against the ancient walls. Pope Francis breathes with difficulty. Age has finally taken its toll. 88 years of service, of struggles, of selfless love for humanity. By his side, as he has been for the past 7 years, Buddy keeps vigil, his small body pressed against the bed, his eyes never leaving the face of his beloved owner. "Come here, my little friend," whispers Francis, his voice almost inaudible. Buddy approaches, gently resting his snout on the Pope's wrinkled hand. There is a silent communication between them, something beyond words. The doctors said it was a matter of hours. The stroke had been devastating, and the heart failure irreversible. But Francis had one last mission. "Listen carefully," he murmurs, stroking Buddy's head with trembling fingers. "What I am about to entrust to you, no one else can know. Under this pillow is something that will change everything. Something that must reach only the right hands. The hands of who will come after me." The dog's eyes, deep and attentive, seem to understand the weight of those words. Francis smiles, a final smile. Many will say it is madness to entrust such an important secret to an animal. But you, my buddy, have something that many men have lost, the ability to see the truth in the hearts of others. When the time comes, you will know how to recognize the chosen one. The Pope's breathing becomes shallower. Buddy lets out a small whimper, as if knowing the moment was approaching. "One last thing, my friend." Francis struggles to form the words. "This is not a burden you will carry alone. There will be signs, people who will help even without knowing it. Trust your instincts." The candle flickers as if an invisible wind has passed through the room. Pope Francis closes his eyes for the last time, his hand still resting on Buddy's head. In the sacred silence that follows, the small dog remains motionless, like a sentinel guarding not only the body, but the last will of a holy man. The following days are a blur of frantic activity. The world mourns the loss of Francis. Dignitaries arrive from all corners of the planet, the funeral masses, the collective grief. And amidst all this, Buddy watches, waits, calculates. No one knows what goes on in a dog's mind. No one suspects that behind those melancholic eyes, a plan is forming. Under the deceased Pope's pillow, carefully hidden, is a small box of carved wood containing something as valuable as it is dangerous: the truth. As the cardinals gather for the conclave, Buddy is transferred to the care of Sister Maria Concetta, an elderly nun who has always had a special fondness for him. Her quarters are simple, far from the epicenter of power, but close enough for Buddy to plan. Poor little creature. murmurs the nun as she places a plate of food on the floor. "You miss him, don't you? We all do." If only she knew that the sadness in Buddy's eyes is not just longing, but the weight of responsibility. If only she could imagine that beneath the fur of that small animal resides a determination capable of moving mountains. During the night, when Sister Maria sleeps, Buddy silently creeps through the room. He drags the wooden box which he managed to retrieve from the papal apartments during the confusion of the funeral to a hiding place under the nun's bed. There, he spends hours looking at the object, as if trying to decipher what to do next. In the Vatican, the conclave stretches on. The choice of the new pope is not simple. Some factions advocate for the continuation of the reforms initiated by Francis. Others desire a return to more conservative traditions. The debates are heated, the prayers intense. Buddy feels the tension in the air, even far from the Sistine Chapel. There is something in the atmosphere of Rome, something electric, like before a great storm. And he knows his moment is approaching. On the 7th day of the conclave, something changes. Sister Maria returns from her daily duties with a different sparkle in her eyes. "The rumors are everywhere," she says, as if Buddy could understand every word. "They say the American Cardinal Prevost is gaining support. Imagine that, a pope from the United States. What a change that would bring to the church." The name resonates in Buddy like a distant bell. Prevost. Something about that name awakens a strange feeling, almost like recognition. Could this be one of the signs Francis mentioned? That night, Buddy has a dream. Or could it be a vision? On the threshold between sleep and wakefulness, he sees Francis again, not as the frail man on his deathbed, but radiant, strong, as in the early years of his papacy. "It's almost time, my faithful friend," the apparition says. "Tomorrow, when the white smoke rises, you will know what to do." The dog wakes up startled, his little heart beating frantically. There is an inexplicable certainty within him. The hour is coming. The 8th day of the conclave dawns with an almost tangible expectation. The streets of Rome seem to hold their breath. The faithful gathered in St. Peter's Square are more numerous than in previous days, as if everyone shares Buddy's intuition. Today is the day. In Sister Maria's cell, Buddy is restless. He paces back and forth, occasionally stopping to look out the window towards the Sistine Chapel. Something is calling, pulling, demanding. "What's wrong, little one?" asks the nun, noticing his unusual behavior. "You're never like this." It is then that it happens. Sister Maria's phone rings, a rarity in itself. She answers, her expression changing from confusion to surprise, and then to something close to ecstasy. "Habemus papam," she exclaims, tears welling up in her eyes. "And you won't believe it, little one. It's Cardinal Prevost. He chose the name Leo XIV, an American, the first American pope." Buddy freezes. The words fall on him like ice water, awakening every fiber of his being. Prevost, Leo XIV. It's him. It has to be him. Without a second thought, Buddy runs under the bed, drags out the wooden box, and grabs it with his teeth. Before Sister Maria can react, he darts for the half-open door and escapes into the corridor. "Buddy, come back here," cries the nun, but her voice is lost in the labyrinth of the Vatican. The small dog runs as he has never run before. Corridors turn into halls, halls into staircases. Swiss guards, bishops, and staff look on in astonishment at the small furry figure speeding past like lightning, carrying something in his mouth. Buddy knows exactly where he is going, although he has never been there before. It's as if an invisible hand is guiding him, as if Francis is by his side, whispering directions in his ear. The room of vestments. That's where the new pope will be dressed in the garments of his sacred office before appearing on the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica. That's where Buddy must go. But the Vatican is vast, a maze of history and secrets. And Buddy is just a small dog against a fortress of protocols and security. When he turns a particularly narrow corner, he comes face to face with a young priest. Their eyes meet for a tense moment. The priest recognizes Pope Francis's dog. "Hey, little guy, what are you doing here? And what's that in your mouth?" Buddy backs away, growling softly, the box firmly held between his teeth. There is something in the priest's eyes, curiosity, not malice. Still, Buddy cannot risk it. "It's okay, I won't hurt you," says the priest, kneeling down. "But you shouldn't be here, not now." It is at that moment that a call echoes through the corridors. "Father Thomas, we need you in the room of vestments immediately. The Holy Father is waiting." The priest's eyes widen. "That's where you're going, isn't it?" he murmurs, studying Buddy with new interest. "Somehow, you know." Buddy holds his gaze steady, defiant. Father Thomas hesitates, then makes a decision that will change everything. "Come with me," he whispers, extending his hand. "I'll take you to him." Buddy's heart races. This is another sign. Francis was right. There would be people to help. Father Thomas picks Buddy up in his arms, hiding the box from the sight of others, and walks with purpose through the corridors. "I don't know why I'm doing this," he murmurs to himself. "But Pope Francis always said we should trust in God's little signs." Approaching the room of vestments, security is intense. Cardinals, bishops, and Swiss guards form a protective cordon around the new pope. Father Thomas takes a deep breath and approaches one of the older cardinals. "Your Eminence, forgive the interruption, but I have someone who needs to see the Holy Father." The cardinal frowns, irritated by the audacity. "Now is not the time for—" He stops upon seeing what the priest is carrying. "Is that Pope Francis's dog?" confirms Father Thomas. "And he's carrying something that seems important." An expression of recognition crosses the elderly cardinal's face. "The little guardian," he murmurs. Francis mentioned this in his last confession. The world seems to stop for an instant. Then the cardinal nods. "Come with me." They are led through a small side door, away from curious eyes. The room is small but majestic, and in the center, half-dressed in papal robes, stands he, Robert Prevost, now Leo XIV. When his eyes meet Buddy's, something passes between them. A recognition that transcends species and language, as if both knew from the beginning that this moment would come. "Leave us," orders the new pope, his voice soft but firm. "But, Your Holiness," protests one of the assistants, "the ceremony, it can wait a few minutes," replies Leo XIV. "This is more important." When the door closes, leaving only the pope and the small dog in the room, a sacred silence settles. Buddy gets down from Father Thomas's arms, who discreetly withdraws, and advances with measured steps towards the man dressed in white. "So you came," says Leo XIV, kneeling down to be at the dog's level. "Exactly as he said you would," Buddy places the wooden box at the Pope's feet and takes a step back, his mission almost complete. With trembling hands, Leo XIV picks up the box. When he opens it, his breath catches. Inside is a small rolled parchment and an ancient key. "The key to the third archive," murmurs the Pope, his eyes moist. "And the true message of Fatima." He carefully unrolls the parchment, his eyes scanning. The words written by Pope Francis's hand. As he reads, his face goes through a succession of emotions: surprise, awe, and finally resolution. "He knew," Leo XIV whispers, looking at Buddy with admiration. "Francis knew I would be chosen, and he trusted you to bring this to me." The Pope folds the parchment again and puts it away with the key. Then he does something surprising. He extends his hand and gently strokes Buddy's head. "Your mission is complete, little friend, but perhaps there is a greater reason for our paths to cross today." Knocks on the door interrupt the moment. "Your Holiness, it's almost time. The world awaits." Leo XIV stands up, adjusting his papal vestments. But instead of heading for the door, he turns to Buddy. "You will come with me," he decides, his voice full of purpose, "so the world may see that loyalty and love transcend all barriers." Buddy looks at the new pope, his eyes reflecting the same determination. When the door opens, it is not just Leo XIV who emerges to face his destiny, but Leo XIV with a small dog faithfully following in his footsteps. The papal assistants exchange looks of shock and confusion. "Your Holiness, this is unprecedented." "Exactly," Leo XIV interrupts, a slight smile on his lips. And that is why it is necessary. As he walks through the corridors towards the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, the new pope briefly explains his decision to the perplexed cardinals. "Francis left me a message," he says, his voice calm but firm. "A message about renewal, transparency, and a return to the simplicity of the gospel. What symbol could be more powerful than this small creature, whose loyalty and unconditional love exemplify the values we must rediscover?" The cardinals murmur among themselves, some in approval, others uncomfortable with the unexpected. But no one dares to contradict the new pontiff in his first official act. As they approach the balcony, the clamor of the crowd in St. Peter's Square grows. Thousands of voices, thousands of hopes, all converging in this historic moment. Buddy feels the weight of history, the electric expectation in the air. His small but brave heart beats with renewed purpose. His original mission is complete. Francis's secret has been delivered to the destined hands. But something tells him a new journey is just beginning. The red curtains of the balcony open. The Rome sunlight bathes the new pope in an almost divine glow. The crowd below explodes in cheers and applause. "Dear brothers and sisters," begins Leo XIII, his voice amplified to reach the ends of the square. "We are gathered here at a moment of transition and renewal for our church." He pauses, then bends down to pick Buddy up in his arms, holding him aloft for all to see. A murmur of surprise ripples through the crowd. "This little friend," the Pope continues, "was the faithful companion of our beloved Francis. He brought me a message today, a message of fidelity, of courage, and of divine purpose." The square falls into a reverent silence, all eyes fixed on the unlikely pair on the balcony. In the days to come, I will share with you the contents of this message, a revelation that will challenge some, comfort others, but that, above all, will guide us back to the pure heart of the gospel. Buddy watches the crowd, sensing their collective emotions: curiosity, hope, apprehension. He doesn't understand the words, but he perfectly understands the moment. He is witnessing a change in history, a change he helped to catalyze. "This little creature," continues Leo XIV, "teaches us something we sometimes forget in our pursuit of power and influence. He teaches us about absolute trust, about following the divine call even when the path seems impossible, about seeing beyond appearances to recognize the truth in hearts." A ray of sunlight breaks through the clouds, illuminating the Pope and Buddy in an almost cinematic moment. Cameras from around the world capture the image that will make headlines and be etched in collective memory. The first American Pope, holding his predecessor's dog, announcing a new era for the Church. "From today," proclaims Leo XIV, his voice growing in strength and conviction, "this little guardian of faith will remain by my side as a living symbol of the commitment I make before you and before God. A commitment to truth, to transparency, and to a return to the simplicity and authenticity of the gospel." The crowd explodes in applause. Flowers are thrown into the air. Tears stream down wrinkled and young faces. The emotion is palpable, flowing in waves from the balcony to the square and beyond, to the entire world watching on television and the internet. Buddy feels the tremor in the new Pope's chest, not of fear, but of deep emotion. In the warmth of those arms, he feels something familiar, something that connects him with his former owner, a shared purpose, a common vision. As the sun begins its slow descent on the horizon of Rome, bathing the eternal city in shades of gold and rose, the new Pope and his unexpected companion remain on the balcony, blessing the crowd. An image of renewal and hope is imprinted on the collective consciousness of the Church. Later, when the cameras are gone and the crowd disperses, Leo XIV returns to his new apartments, Buddy trotting faithfully by his side. The Pope sits heavily in a chair, exhausted but euphoric from the day's events. "You know what we just did, don't you?" he says, looking at Buddy with a mixture of admiration and gratitude. "We just rewrote the rules. We just opened a door that many wanted to keep closed." Buddy tilts his head, his eyes attentive and understanding. He knows in some mysterious way that what happened today goes far beyond the delivery of a secret. The Pope unfolds the parchment again, reading Francis's words in the soft twilight glow. He foresaw all of this, he murmurs, marveling. Not just my election, but how you would be the catalyst for a greater change. In the privacy of that moment, away from the world's gaze, the Pope allows tears to stream freely down his face. The message of Fatima was never about punishment or apocalypse. As many feared, he confesses to Buddy, it was about renewal through simplicity, about returning to the essence, about finding God in the smallest and most unlikely places. He looks at the small golden key that accompanies the parchment. Tomorrow, we go to the third archive. There lie the documents Francis gathered throughout his papacy. Evidence of corruption within the church, collusion with political powers, deviations from the true mission. He wanted to expose everything, but he knew he needed someone from outside the European system to have the courage to do it. Buddy approaches, resting his head on the Pope's knee in a gesture of comfort and understanding. You know what's most extraordinary? Reflects Leo XIV, stroking the dog's head. That Francis entrusted this task to you. Not to a cardinal, not to a human confidant, but to a creature whose only motivation is love and loyalty. He smiles, a smile that blends admiration and determination. And you did not fail. Against all odds, against human logic, you fulfilled your mission. That night, as Rome sleeps under a starry sky, the new Pope and the small dog share a moment of quiet contemplation. The world outside still doesn't grasp the magnitude of what is to come. They don't know that Buddy's appearance on the balcony was just the beginning, the first act of a transformation that will shake the foundations of the oldest institution in the Western world. The next morning, as the sun barely breaks the horizon, Pope Leo XIV prepares for his first official mission. Not an audience with dignitaries or a solemn mass, but a secret visit to the archive mentioned in the parchment. With Buddy by his side, he descends to the deepest levels of the Vatican, where few are permitted to enter. The small golden key fits perfectly into the lock of an unmarked door. When it opens, it reveals shelves and shelves of carefully organized documents. A lifetime's work, murmurs the Pope, running his eyes over the shelves. Francis documented everything, every abuse of power, every misappropriation of funds, every compromise made in the shadows. Buddy watches the new Pope as he reverently leafs through the documents. There is a weight in that moment, a solemnity that transcends words. This will change everything, says Leo XIV, his voice barely above a whisper. There will be resistance. There will be denial. Some will say I am betraying the church, but the true betrayal would be to keep these truths hidden. He turns to Buddy, a gleam of determination in his eyes. And you, my little friend, will be by my side every step of the way, a living symbol that faithfulness to truth is our most sacred obligation. In the weeks that follow, the world witnesses something unprecedented. The new Pope, often with a small dog at his side, begins a series of reforms that shake the millennia-old structure of the Church. Full financial transparency of the Vatican, the publication of previously sealed documents, the removal of cardinals and bishops implicated in cover-ups and corruption. Each announcement is met with shock, resistance, and eventually, reluctant acceptance. Each step forward is accompanied by Buddy, whose constant presence becomes a powerful symbol of this new era. Journalists, historians, and the faithful from around the world speculate on the meaning of this unlikely pair, the American Pope and the Italian dog. Theories emerge, legends begin to form. Some say Buddy can sense holiness in people, others that he has a divine connection. The truth, as always, is simpler and deeper. It is a story of fidelity. Fidelity to a promise, to a purpose, to a vision of a better world. 6 months after that historic May 8th, Pope Leo XIV grants a rare and exclusive interview. When asked about Buddy's constant presence, he smiles. Some see just a dog, he replies, stroking Buddy's head as he rests comfortably on his lap. I see a reminder that faithfulness to truth and goodness transcends words, positions, even species. a reminder that God often chooses the most unlikely instruments to fulfill his purposes. The interviewer hesitates, then asks the question everyone wants to know. "And the contents of the box he brought you that first day?" The Pope exchanges a knowing look with Buddy before answering. "Let's just say it was a message of hope, a message we are living day by day." As the cameras capture this moment of communion between the spiritual leader of billions and his faithful canine companion, there is a palpable sense that we are witnessing not just a historical curiosity, but a new chapter in the relationship between humanity and creation. And Buddy, he doesn't understand the magnitude of his role in the history of the church. He doesn't grasp the theological or political implications of what he helped initiate. He knows only the simplicity of a mission accomplished, of a purpose found, of loyalty honored. Every night when the lights go out in the papal apartments and the world outside continues to spin in its infinite complexity, Buddy curls up at the foot of his new bed. Sometimes, in the moments between wakefulness and dream, he has the distinct feeling that Francis is there, smiling with approval. "Well done, my faithful friend," the present seems to say. "Well done." And this, in the end, is all that matters. Because in a world of politics and power, of secrets and manipulations, the most revolutionary form of love is the simplest, the selfless fidelity that asks for nothing in return, that calculates no advantage, that simply is. This is the legacy that a small dog left for the world's largest institution, a legacy that will continue to inspire generations, long after his four paws cease to echo through the marble corridors of the Vatican. And perhaps, just perhaps, when the history of the Church is written centuries from now, there will be a chapter dedicated to this peculiar moment, when renewal came not through councils or papal bulls, but through the faithful eyes of a small creature whose only theology was unconditional love. This is the true revolution, not the one declared in manifestos or fought on battlefields, but the one that happens silently, in the small acts of courage and fidelity that together have the power to transform the world. And it all began with a dog, a pope, and a promise.